The Unnormal Files, Episode 1, The Man Who Ran from His Own Mind.
Somewhere in Indore,
A young man walked out of a respected corporate job and disappeared. Not because he wanted freedom, not because he was chasing a dream. He ran because he believed someone was living inside his mind. This is not a horror story. This is something far more unsettling than that. This is a true case story. The name has been changed. The pain has not. Raj was, by all external measures, fine. He had a job at a reputed company, the kind of position parents proudly mention at dinner tables. He had routine. He had a future mapped out in modest, reasonable steps. And then, slowly, he didn't. At first, he thought it was stress. Long workdays, sleepless nights. That specific kind of anxiety that millions carry quietly in modern cities. Too normalized to name, too constant to ignore. But stress has a shape you can point to. What Raj was beginning to feel had no shape at all. It was something else. Something that didn't have a name yet. Not for him. And then, something changed. He began to feel like people around him were poisoning him. Not metaphorically, literally. Food felt dangerous. He would sit at the table and stare at his meal, the same food his family ate without hesitation, and feel convinced something was wrong with it. Rooms felt watched. Not in the way we say it casually. Raj experienced a persistent, visceral certainty, the kind your body generates, not your brain, that eyes were on him. Always. Conversations felt loaded with hidden meanings. A colleague's offhand remark, a neighbor's glance, a news anchor's phrasing. Everything seemed coded, aimed, personal. And then came the voices. Not ranting, sounds, not distant echoes. Voices that spoke directly to him. Female voices, sometimes seductive, sometimes cruel, sometimes mocking him with attacks that were uncomfortably specific, things only he would know. His mistakes, his loneliness, his private thoughts, even his sexuality. The terrifying part wasn't just what they said, it was how real they sounded. To Raj, these voices didn't feel imaginary. They felt human, familiar. Like recognizable voices, film celebrities, people he had seen on screens, speaking directly into his head, intimately, without asking. And when that happens, when the boundary between inner and outer world starts dissolving, the logical conclusion your mind reaches is not, I am unwell. It is, I am being targeted. He became convinced people were monitoring his every move. Every glance from a stranger felt intentional. Every whisper felt connected. There were no coincidences anymore, only confirmation. One day, without warning, Raj quit his job. No farewell, no 2-week notice, no explanation his colleagues could understand. He just ran. No plan, no destination, just the desperate need to be somewhere other than where he was. As if geography could fix something that lived entirely inside him. But you cannot outrun something that follows you internally. Back home, His father watched the transformation with the helpless precision of someone who had seen it before and prayed he was wrong. The son, who once worked, spoke, planned, lived, began spending entire days lying in silence. He stopped bathing regularly, stopped eating unless someone sat with him and reminded him to, stopped engaging with the world in even the smallest ways. A conversation, a television program, a walk outside. Sometimes he would sit for hours staring out of a window, as if waiting for something terrible to happen. Or perhaps, as if it already had. Underneath all of it was fear. A constant, exhausting, breathless fear. His heart racing for reasons he couldn't name. His thoughts spiraling in loops that offered no exit. His mind refusing to stay still, even in the moments he craved stillness most. Raj believed someone was trying to destroy him through black magic. That unseen forces, people with motive, with power, wanted him dead, and the voices in his head were proof. But the darkest moment came quietly, as the darkest moments always do. He admitted, in words that took everything out of him to say, that the voices were telling him to end his life. And even more horrifying, they mocked him for hesitating. Imagine reaching a point where your own mind becomes an unsafe place, where silence, the one thing you sought, is no longer quiet, where even sleep offers no relief because the voices follow you there too. For families, the pain operates on a different frequency. Raj's father carried something beyond grief. He carried a shadow. Years earlier, his brother, Raj's uncle, had gone through something painfully similar. The same withdrawal, the same fear behind the eyes, the same slow disappearance from the world of the living. And eventually, he had taken his own life. So the father now sat with a question that had no good answer. Is this happening again? And if it is, what do I do differently this time? This question, unasked, unanswered, carried in silence, is one of the most common features of families navigating serious mental illness in India. Because the stigma is not just social, it is internal. It is the private shame of wondering whether something is broken in your blood, whether love is enough, whether getting help is betrayal or rescue. Most families don't know what psychosis looks like, not until they're inside it. By then, the question of what do I do has already waited too long for an answer. What was happening to Raj? What Raj was experiencing has a name. Clinicians who later reviewed his case identified a presentation consistent with schizophrenia, a condition that affects roughly 24 million people worldwide and is profoundly misunderstood. Schizophrenia is not split personality. It is not violence. It is not a failure of character or willpower. It is a disruption in the brain's ability to process reality, to distinguish what is internal from what is external. The voices Raj heard were not metaphorical. They were neurological events, as real to his brain as any sound in this room is to yours right now. The paranoia, the belief that he was being poisoned, monitored, destroyed, is called persecutory delusion. It is one of the most common features of psychotic illness, and It is extraordinarily difficult to treat when the person experiencing it has no framework to understand what they are experiencing. Because the illness itself removes the ability to see the illness. In India, this gap is widened further by cultural context. Beliefs around black magic, spirit possession, and divine punishment are not fringe ideas. They are woven into the everyday spiritual fabric of millions of families. Which means that what looks like paranoia from outside can feel like spiritual warfare from inside. Neither framework is wrong to hold. Both can coexist. But only one will result in effective treatment. The close. What makes stories like Raj's unsettling is not how distant they are. It's how close they are. Psychological collapse rarely arrives dramatically. It doesn't announce itself with a headline or a clear moment of before and after. It creeps in. A little more suspicion, a little less sleep, a little more isolation. The world shrinking, one small withdrawal at a time. Until eventually, the person looking in the mirror no longer feels fully connected to the life around them. Not every battle leaves bruises. Some battles happen in bedrooms with curtains closed, in restless 3 a.m. thoughts, in conversations no one else can hear. And sometimes, the loudest screams are completely silent. If someone you know is showing signs of withdrawal, paranoia, or speaking about voices or fears that seem disconnected from reality, the most important thing you can do is not fix it, not argue, and not disappear. Stay present and help them find someone qualified to listen. The Unnormal Files releases every week. Real cases, real people, real questions about the minds we live inside. Subscribe if this reached you, because someone, right now, needs to know they are not alone in this.